Today, I'll be commenting on Neville Goddard's 1971 lecture, The Dweller on the Threshold. In this lecture, Neville shares a story when he misused the power of imagination, for we all are given the complete freedom to misuse this gift of God. Neville says, "Suddenly, I found myself confronted with these two creatures. One, the most monstrous thing you could ever conceive, and the other, most angelic being that you could think of. The one that was the monster, a hairy, monstrous being. It would almost be unfair to the monkey world to call him a gorilla or baboon, but that is the picture, only he was far more than that, and he spoke gutturally. He looked at the angelic being and called her mother. It annoyed me, and I began to pummel him, and he gloated. He loved violence. Every blow made him stronger. He was the embodiment of every evil thought and act that I had ever entertained or expressed. I was totally unaware of this creation of my own until that moment in time when I was strong enough to confront it. And I can't tell anyone the emotion that permeated me when I saw what I had done. I created that had no right to exist, and it must be brought to. I created that had no right to live, and it must die. Blows could not kill it. It lived on blows. It lived on violence. As I looked at it, an emotion permeated my being that I had never felt prior to that I remember. One of compassion, infinite compassion, that if it took me eternity to redeem this, I would do it. I pledged myself. There was no one I could swear to. There was no witness. Something within me pledged myself to redeem this monster if it took me eternity. But it didn't take me more than a split second, from the moment of the decision when I decided that I would redeem it, because I had no right to exist. At that moment, the whole thing withered before me. It got smaller and smaller. It only took a matter of seconds, and that thing was a monster thing. One moment before me, now completely withered before me. But it was all energy, misspent energy. It returned to me. I've never felt stronger than I did at that moment, when all that energy that went to build and create this thing that had no right to exist returned to me. And here I am, as powerful as, I'd say, the universe." So what we could take away from Neville's words here, if we look in our lives, we've all encountered people or things or events that may seem monstrous to us. And the normal human reaction is often to react with fear or anger or condemnation. But these things perpetuate this energy. It feeds it. Because that's the law. What you place your energy on only grows. And fear, anger, and hatred and disgust, they're very strong and intense emotions. But as in this example with Neville's vision, all the mystical teachings made him realize. The realization, intuition, wisdom came that this monster that he saw on the outside was just symbolic of the different negative thoughts that have compiled from within. And I suppose it could possibly come not just from this wake dream, but from past ones, or if you like to call them past lives. So now you too are reminded that any of the unpleasant things you encounter in life, it's to be redeemed. The best way to get rid of it is to redeem it with love, compassion, understanding. And now that you understand that all on the outside is symbolic of something within, in a way you've won more than half the battle. So we must take up the same attitude as Neville. Whatever the things that seem monstrous and ugly in life, if it takes eternity, we will redeem it with love, compassion. Now this, I understand, this might not seem easy at all, because some of those monstrous things, it's very hard to imagine that somehow they're a symbolic representation of something inside. And sometimes there can be so much fear and or anger, it might not seem possible. So just let these words at least seep into your consciousness. And as you continue to learn these teachings and apply these teachings in your own life, trust that that seed will grow, and thus the intuition and wisdom will grow. And if it's not already this moment, it will dawn on you that all these things on the outside are just a symbolic representation, and I have the power to redeem it through love and compassion, knowing what it truly comes from. And in that, the outside things will start to lose its power. And now we go on with Neville's words on the other element in the vision. Neville says, "In this wonderful creature that was the personification of every noble, lovely thought that I had ever entertained, either expressed or unexpressed, she glowed like the sun. She had a right to exist. She was a personification of my use, my wise and loving use of God's gift to me. And this monstrous thing was a personification of my misuse of the same gift. That is what, one day, you will confront. That is your dweller on the threshold. Everyone at a moment in time will actually meet him and meet her, and she will live and glow, and he, in a second, will simply wither before your eyes. There was no loss. He had no right to exist, But in our progress from the receipt of the gift of God to the full use of that gift lovingly, we make mistakes. There is no condemnation of the one who made the mistake. In fact, there is no condemnation. That is the only thing that will cease to live. It's the only thing that has no right to live. So what Neville's saying is, we have this free use of our will, but really the ultimate purpose is to create the lovely things. You'll also have the vision and the realization. And don't judge yourself or beat yourself up, because mistakes are part of learning to lead to wisdom. Neville says, so today, if I really see it clearly, you'll see this particular mystery in the Bible. The whole vast world is yourself pushed out, and all these characters are simply states of consciousness in which you can in one little moment vanish. You try to grasp him, and all of a sudden he vanishes into this one, into that one. You can't quite put your hand upon him, but you do in the depths of your being, and you bring back glimpses of it. And then you share it with your brothers, because in the end we are all one, and yet without loss of identity. So in a sense, everything around us is symbolic of something within us, and you can make things alive, or you can let things wither away by what you choose to put your attention on, and thus feel the things that you perpetuate, especially the things that come so easily, or the things that you perpetuate over time. And even though right now we might feel as individuals, mystics often talk of this oneness. They say it's almost like poking your little hands through a piece of paper. You see these little fingers, but behind the paper is the hand. And just like that, we're all united by consciousness. And now let us go into the silence. Let us have a practice session where we can use our imaginations to create our reality. Now let us go into the silence. What is it you want to be and or to have? How would it feel to already be and have whatever it is you want to be and to have? How does it feel? That feeling, let us continue to feel it, to marinate in it, breathe in and out of it, becoming completely saturated, as within, so without. What scene would you encounter if you were who you wanted to be and or had what you wanted to have? What is your grand slam scene you would encounter? Maybe it's someone congratulating you. Whatever it is, let the power of your senses come in, especially of touch. For example, it might be feeling the embrace of a loved one, or feeling the paper of a big check, or feeling the breeze of somewhere you want to be, and what you'd hear, and what you'd smell in the air. The scene need only be a few seconds or so. Loop it a handful of times, and now enter the vision. And now let us give thanks for being who you want to be and having what you want to have. Thank you. Thank you, Father. You wouldn't be thanking if you didn't already have. and having on the imaginative level and persisted is more real than having what you call in 3D, because 3D blossoms from your imagination. Feel free to repeat this session. And now that you have the idea how to do this, especially if you've been listening to a number of my videos and have had continued practice in doing this, you can take this exercise into your sleep, and or if you prefer, upon awakening, and or after a hearty meal, whenever feels best for you, even just once a day, unless it feels light and natural to bring it more frequently into your life. Continue until you know what you want is yours, just a strong feeling, and then you'll only do the exercise when you feel to. Should the desire come again, or should you be triggered by something in 3D, and or continue until what you want is already yours, because it already is yours. Congratulations. And thank you. Since we're all connected, my success is your success, and your success is my success.